I want to bring you new information now. Kobe Bryant's widow, Vanessa Bryant, took the stand Friday in the civil case she filed against Los Angeles County.
That's right. She is suing over pictures taken by officers and firefighters at the scene of the 2020 helicopter crash that killed not only her husband and her daughter, but also 7 others. Ms. Bryant says she fears the damage that could be caused if those pictures ever went public.
CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson joins us now to speak about this. Jessica, one thing that jumps out at me from some of the notes we're seeing from Vanessa Bryant's testimony is she says she's having panic attacks and is in real distress over knowing these pictures exist and just is so fearful that they will go public one day and she'll be re-traumatized. What is really central to her testimony here?
Well, I think what's central, separate and apart from the emotional impact, which obviously as humans we shouldn't put to the side, but as a legal matter we should for a moment. What she's arguing is the possibility that these photos can still be disseminated is real, and that she lives in fear of that, and that she should get a legal remedy as a result of that. What LA County is arguing here is we have done a forensic look at this. There are no more photos that exist. There is no possibility that you could wake up and find these photos anywhere on the internet. Certainly there was a harm that occurred as a result of law enforcement officers, peace officers sharing this information when there was no legitimate reason for them to do so, no legitimate law enforcement reason. But the argument here in large part is she's saying, I live in constant fear that this information will be made public, that it will suddenly splash across social media and it'll be all over the internet. LA County is saying it hasn't already, and it's been 2 years, and there's no possibility that it could be.
But Jessica, how can LA County prove that, right? I mean, they can say we've gone through the phones and we've deleted all the images, but there's really no way of proving that that's the case, is there?
So this becomes a little bit in the area of a technology expert who can say, well, I'm looking at the audit that they did. I'm looking at the fact that they searched these phones, that they looked at everybody who was sent or received this information. And I have assured you that there's no way this information can be out there. I think on a gut level, so many of us feel once it's out there, can it ever really be gone?
Right.
That is, that's really a question for the technology experts in this case. And that's part of why I think the case wasn't actually dismissed, because these were the arguments that were made earlier in the case before it went to trial. LA County said, we don't need to go to trial. We should win as a matter of law. We should win on summary judgment because there's no dispute that these photos have disappeared, that it's as if they never existed. And Vanessa Bryant and her co-plaintiff are saying, I'm not so sure about that. I'm worried that they could be released.
Interesting.
So then what next? What would the following steps be in this case, considering you have this type of stalemate, right? She's worried it will be released. LA County saying they don't exist anymore. So then what?
So at this point, it looks like the trial is coming to a close and the jury will be given instructions on all of the causes of action here. We know that Vanessa Bryant sued for invasion of privacy, 2 counts of negligence, also for intentional infliction of emotional distress. And there are a lot of different issues here for the jury to decide. But when it comes to, to your question of, well, what happens if there's a dispute? That's part of the reason that this goes to the jury as the fact finders. They will make this determination. And then, of course, there's a possibility, depending on what happens, that there could be an appeal in this case. But the next step is closing arguments, and this goes to the jury.
So, Jessica, you mentioned this technological expert would have to be the final word on whether these images still exist anywhere, whether anyone that was sent them still has them. This would be the only sort of person or expert who'd be qualified to track all this down and say whether there are any images anymore or not. Did that person testify and say there are no more images?
So, yes, I believe that's what happened in this case, which is the expert said, I looked, we searched through all the peace officers who took the photos, who shared the photos. We looked at everybody who received the photos, and they've been wiped clean. What's interesting about this case is that when it comes to invasion of privacy, you can have a harm occur at a number of different steps along the way. This is one of the areas that I teach in a little bit. And the key for why this area of the law was created at all is that technology changed. We got instantaneous photography. And what happened is we created protections, not just for I'm going to hit you, but I am going to hurt your right to be let alone, your peace of mind. And that's actually the crux of what this case is about, the right to be let alone, your peace of mind, and Vanessa Bryant's fear here that these images could at some point see the light of day.
Understandable fear.
So sad.
All right, Jessica Levinson, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.